Greetings, everyone. I would like to take this time out to thank you for joining in and listening in, giving me a moment of your time. This is Dorian, and this is the first episode of the Convos in the Park podcast. For those that have been following me on YouTube and Facebook, I would thank you in advance for joining us and continuing on this journey with me. For those that are new listeners, I would like to take the time out to explain what Convos in the Park is. Convos in the Park first started off as a Facebook and YouTube channel. It was a way that I would be able to express my thoughts, concerns, and issues that I've had in normal life with others. In that way that any issues or dealings that I had in my life, if I figured that if I was able to express some of those things and maybe help someone get through their situation a little bit better than, other methods of either harming themselves or anything of that matter, then I felt like I've done my part. Now, just to give a little background on myself, I still have both my parents around. Thank the Lord for that. I was originally born in Brooklyn. I was born in Bed-Stuy, went to school in Bed-Stuy, did a little bit of schooling in Clinton Hill, and during my high school years, I went to school in Manhattan at the Manhattan Center for the Science and Mathematics. That is when I really started realizing how the world was and pretty much how things were as far as the street, and not just the street, but also with relationships. Once I started high school is when I really started realizing that girls like me, because growing up in elementary school and even in junior high school, I was guess you could say I was a quote unquote certified nerd. Never thought that any girls really liked me. I was, of course, in the girls at that time, but never got any reciprocation back or anyone ever thinking that, that a female liked me in that sense. It wasn't until I got to Manhattan Center is when my life pretty much changed at that point. Start off my freshman year, and, I was the typical nerd student. I was still having good grades and stuff, but I started making friends and started realizing that there was some, like I said, that there were girls that liked me. First time I realized that was in my art class. I take that back. It wasn't art. It was technical drawing. I was real good at art. I used to love drawing when I was growing up. I would always draw anything from Ninja Turtles, Batman. I had this real good picture of Cable that I drew that I gave to my grandmother and was in my grandmother's house until that day. But besides the point. So in my technical drawing class, there was this one girl that used to sit behind me, and I would give her, tips on how to, get certain drawings that the teacher was showing us. But, as a while, she started throwing little hints, and I kind of started feeling myself thinking that she liked me. And that's when I, after talking and I got more comfortable around girls, that, kind of figured that, I wasn't as unattractive as I thought I was. But that did lead me on to some better experiences. I did play myself one time, my freshman year. Was around a bunch of my friends, and it was close to Valentine's Day. And I was, I just wanted to feel like I was part of the cool kids. So I told this extravagant story about how I took this girl that my friends knew and I was actually into, how I took her on this big date at Sugar Hill. And, I was all dressed up and she was dressed up, and we had a nice time. And, I thought that it was just going to end right there with my friends. But lo and behold, the story got back to her, and she cursed me out in front of our entire homeroom on how I lied about her. And kind of played myself real bad at that time. But come to find out, she was really into me. Didn't find that out until I was on my way walking from the subway to the school, and she crept up behind me. And of course, anybody that grew up in New York, you always had either your Walkman or a CD player on you. Especially for those long rides to and from school. Definitely had to have some music going. But she asked me what I was playing on my Walkman, and she wanted to listen, and she spent some actual time with me. And actually, we went to lunch together a few times, and even bought her pizza and stuff like that. But didn't really realize that she was really into me until one lunch day. She took my baseball hat from me and was running through the school. I was chasing her, and we got to staircase. And at that moment, I didn't realize what was going on, but thinking about that moment afterwards, I could pretty much tell that she probably wanted me to kiss her at that time. And I just wasn't thinking that way because I never thought that a girl would like me in that fashion, or at least to that extent. But that experience I learned a lot from, and I was able to take a lot from that because it kind of helped me build my confidence up as far as dealing with girls. Didn't really get my first girlfriend until the summer after my freshman year. Actually, it was almost seems like it's a textbook story. It was a neighborhood sweetheart that I used to go to school with back in elementary school. And I didn't see her until, like I said, till about my high school years. And once we met during that summer again, and I realized who she was, and realized, we went to the same school and everything. And she had grew up a little up and out, as I would say. So once I got to know her, that's when I really started, digging girls, and just the experiences from that was something else. And one of the funniest things that goes along with that story was I used to hang out with her brother a lot. Like, I knew her brother before I knew her. And, we kicked it one time, and her brother was like a playboy on the block. So we were just kicking it one day, and this girl came up to him and, was talking to him. And then next thing you know, we walking her back to the subway station. And this is how I knew that girls were kind of into me at that point. We went by the store before we went to the subway station, and I bought a Snicker bar. She ended up taking it and running onto the train platform, jumped the median, and went to go, get my Snickers back. Because again, that was my Snicker bar. It was my money. She had no right to take it. But, that's when, got down there, and she was like, I'm really into you. I know you're going with, your girlfriend at the time, but, I wanted to see what was going on with us. So I was like, no, I got my girlfriend. That's nice that you, think of me in that way, but, I'm not trying to go that route. Trying to be the loyal boyfriend type. But lo and behold, that relationship didn't last long. And then after that, not too long afterwards, that's when I really started cutting school, because that relationship ended, and I didn't know how to take it. I didn't know how to deal with those issues of, loss and regret, and, someone actually dumping me, so to say. So I ended up just being with my friends at high school, and we just skip school and do everything else. But after that, led to, almost got caught by truancy and a couple times. And, after getting all the notes from school, my parents were pretty much like, at this point, we don't know what to do with you. So we're either going to send you to a boarding school, or we're going to send you to a foster home. So I was like, well, you know what? Let's not do all of that. Just send me down to Alabama with my grandparents, and I'll be all right. So around 1995, I moved from New York and moved all the way down to Mobile, Alabama. And that's pretty much where I lived up until I got into the military. Once I got into the military, then, I was in the Marine Corps for 13 years. But, I had some good experiences there too. Actually, one of the worst experiences I had as far as relationship goes was, I had a girlfriend back in Mobile, and I was stationed in Quantico, Virginia. And I've been with her for about 2 years on, here and there, on and off. And in between this time, there was a girl that I went out with before I went to college. She reached back out to me while I was in the military, and she expressed how she felt badly about how, how she treated me and everything else. And I was such a nice guy, but she didn't realize it. So, we just started talking. I never really let on from the beginning that I had a girlfriend at the time, and we got real close. And she actually came up to visit me during Valentine's Day one year. And during that time, we was kicking it, doing the boyfriend-girlfriend thing. And lo and behold, on Valentine's Day, I get a text message from my actual girlfriend. And at the time, text message wasn't real big, but of course, any notification goes off and you don't answer it quickly, then, your significant other female or whatever going to think something's up. So she did. So she ended up getting my phone. Of course, back then, we weren't so pressed to have a lock on our phone. So she ended up seeing the text message and took my phone. And by this point, I was like, you know what? It's already over. Whatever's happening going to happen. So she ended up leaving the hotel room that we was at on my phone and talking to my girlfriend. So once she got my girlfriend on the phone, then that caused a big deal. So after that, I was like, okay, well, you know what? At this point, I don't know what I'm going to do. So once she got on the plane heading back home, that's when I told her that we were breaking up. So, she kind of took that the bad way. So she got on a flight and she made it all the way to Atlanta. And once she got to Atlanta, she tried calling me. I never answered back because I was like, okay, if someone's going to do that to me, then, why should I even deal with it? Even though, it was my fault for getting her or making her feel that way. But at the time, I didn't care. So she finally got on the plane back. She worked her way to get a plane back to Quantico to deal with the situation between me and her. And I thought that was the craziest thing ever. So I'm in the room. I made it back to my barracks room. I'm talking with my roommate at the time. And, I've still got all these, voicemails from her saying that, she felt like that wasn't the way to end it. And she was going to come back to deal with it and all this other stuff. I was like, okay, this is the craziest thing. I never dealt with anything like this before. So I ended up getting my roommate to ride with me back to the airport to pick her up. Now, anybody else would have been like, why are you going back to the airport to pick her up? She should have found her own way. But the nice guy in me, I just can't, let someone do that, especially when they came to see me in the first place. So got my roommate and we went to the airport, picked her up, got another hotel room and just kind of let her sit there for a bit. And I just didn't want to deal with it. I was like, okay, I got you the hotel room, but, next morning you're going to have to leave because I don't want to be in a relationship with you anymore. But the story doesn't end there. I actually should have just left this person alone a long time ago and just cut ties, but I did not. So in 2004, 2005 is when I finally get my orders to go to Okinawa, Japan. Now, I'm loving it out there in Japan and I'm having a good time. But lo and behold, she reaches out to me even in Japan. So I'm thinking, okay, well, let's just see. At this point, I'm like, okay, I'll just try and give it another shot. Maybe if I'm honest this time, maybe things will go better. So, we continue to talk, for a long distance. She's still in the States. I'm in Okinawa, Japan, but I still talk to her and everything else. And, I talk about, how I'm going to see her once I, get back to the States. So I get back to the States and, we finally sit down and talk things out and try to work on things. And little by little, I still continue to notice the little crazy trends that, that's happening. Now I'm trying to look at it 2020 hindsight. Some of that I may have caused. Yeah, probably so. But again, I can't control everything. I can control my actions. I can't control how the other person deals with the actions that I bring forth. So with that being said, I decided I want to go ahead and end this relationship a second time. Now, smart person wouldn't have done it at her place. If I would have just watched that old Jamie Foxx movie, what was it, Breaking All the Rules, I probably would have learned the script, or someone should have told me in advance not to do it at their house. So I'm over there and we're talking and I'm, telling her that, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I'm so ready to, leave this whole situation behind me. So after, a couple minutes, we argue. And then I don't know, somehow, some way we ended up being cool, but I ended up dozing off at her house. So once I wake up, I'm asking, I'm saying her name, trying to figure out where she's at and everything else. And the house is quiet. I'm like, okay, this is weird. So I start searching around the apartment. I'm like, okay, where is she at? I'm looking all over the place. And then someone said, just go ahead and take a look outside. So I take a look outside. My car's gone. So now I'm looking around in the house for my keys like, okay, did someone break into my car? Did someone break into my car? Do I need to call the police? And then I'm searching around the apartment all over the place. Next thing I know, I notice that my keys are gone. So now I'm in panic mode. I'm like, okay, what the hell is going on? I need to figure out, what's going on. I'm hoping that, she ain't try to do something to my car because I said that it's over. Now, I finally, I call her and she finally answers and she's like, yeah, I got you. I got your car and you're not getting your keys back till I get home. I'm like, what the hell? So in my mind, I'm thinking, the normal side of me is like, okay, maybe you can deal with this situation yourself. The good side of me should have been like, you need to call your closest family members or whoever. You need to get somebody on the phone and have them come meet you just in case something happens and, you end up dead or something. So she finally ends up coming back and, she gives me the car keys and, I play the role like, okay, yeah, everything's fine. Yeah, you know what? I was wrong for what I did and everything else. Cause in my mind, back of my mind, I'm thinking that this person is crazy. There's no way I'm going to get out of this situation unless I play to her, what she wants. So, I act like we're going, oh, okay, we'll just take some time to work things out and da 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 da. So I end up getting the keys back finally. And I tell her, well, at this point, I'm like, okay, I need to hurry up and get up out of here, some form, some fashion. So I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to run back to the house. I've been here a long time. I'm just going to change or whatever. And then, we can, find something to do, whatever. So as soon as I get the chance to get up out the house, I run to my car. I crank it up and I am out of there. I don't reach back out to her, nothing else like that for a couple of days. So then I finally reached back out to her again. I put myself through this own torture. But at the end of the day, I don't know, maybe it was a thrill in it at the end of the day. So, long story short, I finally start, stuff wasn't going right for me at the time. I just got out the military once I made it back to the States and I was trying to find, a job, whatever. So I'm like, okay, at this point, well, maybe I can go back to New York and I find something. So, I make plans to go back up there with my parents back to New York and, just live there for a while. So this is pre-Katrina. This is around June 2005 when I finally decided to make my way back up to New York and just to leave her alone. So, we're still quote unquote in a relationship. So I'm like, okay, I can't do this no more. I'm getting ready to go to New York. There's no sense of trying to hold on. I'm trying to start fresh. Let me just go ahead and live with her for real. So I tell her that, I'm done. I'm on my way to New York right now and, I can't do this. So she finds out later on that I took a Greyhound. So she decides to drive all the way down to the Greyhound station, gets on the same bus that I am getting ready to ride to make my journey to New York with and sits down next to me and tries to fight to keep the relationship. I'm like, no, I'm done. So the driver finally gets off the bus and that's the last time that I had a dealing with that individual since then. One of the craziest experiences I've had as far as relationship goes. I don't think I ever want to deal with anything like that ever again. And it's definitely something to learn from. You definitely got to be able to treat people upright. Be honest. Be truthful. Don't play the part of, oh, yes, I'm just going to do whatever it is to, say whatever I need to say, which is what, at the end of the day, we all do, both men and women. We play these specific roles in a relationship or, we may say certain things to get what we want out of that person. And once we get what we want or, we're done, playing our little game, then, now that person has to deal with the heartache and the pain of, everything that we've put them through. And that is not a good experience for anyone, especially when, it's someone that you think that you can build a future with or you think that you can marry or, you have dreams of marrying them and all this stuff, kids, future, housewife, dog, all that, American dream stuff. But yeah, we definitely have to be careful on how we deal with people and how we, because at the end of the day, we have to answer for our actions. But, we also have to be mindful of what our actions may make the other person do, because you have some people out there that are a little off kilter. You have some people that don't know how to deal, with anger issues or, deal with, rejection or breakups and stuff like that. So you got to be very mindful of that. And yes, that is one of the biggest lessons that I learned. I'll say I didn't learn wholly because even then afterwards, I had relationships and I still find myself lying, whether it be small lies, big lies. One thing that that I won't say I've dealt with currently, but I have dealt with in the past is closure. One of the biggest things that we got to have when it comes to relationships, even though sometimes we may want it, we may not always get it, but closure can be a definite thing as far as, either mending ties or being able to just split evenly and not, have a real messy breakup or anything else like that. Or even if you do have a messy breakup, sometimes you need that closure to figure out if it's something that, you did or if it's something that the other person did. So then that way you have the experience, you have the tools to be able to move on in life and move on to the next relationship, probably in a better way than you previously left it. So with that being said, I want to thank you again for just taking out the time to listen to me and tell my little quote unquote horror stories on relationships in my earlier life before I got married and before, as I got older and matured more. I definitely do want to keep this going. There definitely probably will be some more conversations about previous relationships. I just want to take out this time to thank you. Thank you for anyone that's listening. And I appreciate you taking out the time of your day to listen to me rant on about everything in this first episode. But I do greatly appreciate it. And hopefully this podcast will be able to shed some light on some things or, just to give a little bit of laugh or a chuckle or, be able to have some thoughts on the rest of the day, the week, or, the rest of your life. And hopefully this will be a platform where we can be able to not only, help each other out, but also change lives. So with that being said, I want to thank everyone for listening. And until the next time, are you in that convo yet? Why not?